Hey, Danielle, how you doing? Okay, so I've got your work up here now. I read your sequence rationale, and everything makes really good sense. And I think the most important thing in this whole thing, I'm not going to go through this piece by piece because, as long as you have a reasoning for showing your work in sequence that you're showing, there should be a reason behind it. Now, keep in mind, when I say there should be a reason behind it, imagine this. Imagine we're sitting at a desk and I'm interviewing you, and we go through your whole portfolio. And then I stop at the end and I go, I want to ask you a question. Why did you show this in the sequence that you did? And there has to be an answer, and it has to be a reasonable answer and a logical answer. Like everything else, every other question that could possibly come up. Okay? For example, one of the most important things for you guys to understand is that when things do come up in your interviews, when things come up in your interviews, when questions that come up, it's really important. You need to know the answer. For example, somebody says to you, okay, this piece, what are you trying to say? And you answer and you go, okay, that's great. Okay, this is a pretty good piece, but I'm just wondering about the type. What typeface is that, and why did you decide to use them? Or what typefaces are those? And why did you decide to use them in this piece? And you better have a reason. Lorem ipsum, not good, not good. Well, you know that. I think that you mentioned that. So that's really important. The other thing I want to mention is that when you go through these, this is a wonderful grid setup, but I do want to show you one. And it's great that you're alternating and not using the exact same grid. You're alternating this. I do want to show you one thing, though. Things like, where's that card? Here it is. Okay, this gutter right here that's white, you can go ahead and use the whole thing, and same here. I mean, these visible lines, they don't have to be here on every frame. I mean, in the frames like this, where you've used two frames, like this, you can show the whole thing without those lines. And I think that this is really important to do that. Show the whole illustration here. Show this whole illustration here. And this is fine here. This is fine. But what I would do is I wouldn't show these that they're together next to each other together like that. If you want to show them in different modules, show them. But don't include that and don't include that, because otherwise the viewer is going to look at you and go, why didn't you just close that gutter down? So if you're going to keep the gutter, remove that corner and that corner. If you don't have time to remove those, just cut that gutter and make that one image. Couple of other areas, I think I saw the same phenomenon. Yeah, right here. Why not just show the whole thing? And finally, the last thing I want to mention about your grid is that don't forget, you don't have to use all these. I mean, I'm just using this as an example, okay? But hypothetically, if you take this module out here, just completely get rid of it and leave white there, the page is still going to be harmonious because you have a mathematically correct grid. That is so important to understand. I mean, I think you do understand because you're showing it here and you're showing other areas where you don't intend on using, like right here, you don't intend on using the whole grid. So you're going to be showing some white space. And that's really, really important. One final suggestion here. Two final suggestions here. This type here is too big. I'll close that down. Print one of your pages out. Let me see what size you're at here. You're 8.5. You are at 11 by 8.5. Why did I ask that question? I asked that question for a reason, and it slipped me. 8.5. Oh, I remember why. Because I want you to print out this page out. Don't use your color ink up. Just print this out black and white, quick, on a quick draft. And you'll see how big this is. This type is very, very big. So is this, really. So I would really, really take that whole composition and shrink it down to about something like that. One of the reasons that's going to work better is because one of your areas, your type is encroaching. Yeah, right here, Digital Illustrate. You're almost to the gutter there. So that's indicating that's too big. Besides, shouldn't it be digital illustration? Well, I keep saying final suggestion, but I suggest using a sans serif here. That's a widow right there. You do not want that. That's a widow right there. You know what a typographic widow is. There's another one. There's another one. Do not let that happen. I see what you've done. These are the same. This is placeholder text. Okay, just please, no words alone on a line, ever. That'll shoot you right down. Danielle, shoot you right down. So watch widows and orphans. It's critical. I would try doing this. Since you have serif typeface on an oblique, let's go ahead and use a sans right here. Sans serif for the description. I think it'll add a lot of contemporary flair to your work. So this typeface is fine. Just reduce the size of that composition. That's fine. Go sans here. Okay, and then something back here I saw. Let's create. That's really, really trendy, kind of predictable, kind of. I would not recommend Let's Create in a student portfolio. It's just too contrived. I heard somebody say this one time, a long, long time ago. If you need to use the word create or create, if you need to use the word creative, you're probably not. So I mean, I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying that at all. I love your work. I'm just saying that yes. And that was something that stuck with me. If you're using the word creative, if you need to use the word creative or create, you're probably not. So, all right. So that's what I got. Great job. I'm loving where this is going. I can't wait to see this, Daniel. I cannot believe how far this has come. You and, without naming any names, but you and another student in our class have just really, really, I mean, for the level you guys are at, the work you're putting out, I'm going to tell you something. This is good stuff, you guys. And this is just such a testimonial proof that portfolio doing it right really works. You're going to open some doors with your portfolio. I promise that. All right. Awesome job. So those are my suggestions. And hey, look at this. I'm under 10 minutes. Yay me. Wow. Today's a day of firsts. All right. So if you have any questions, you know where I'm at. And again, just fabulous, fabulous job. All right. Thanks, Danielle.